Right, started.
So, hello, my name's Larry. I might get to come in close just so you can hear me. I'm just going to show you briefly in case you're thinking about cycle touring. I've been cycle touring for a bit over 30 years, and I'm not saying the way I do it is the best way, but I'm certainly doing a lot of things that now that I wish I knew to do 30 years ago. So I just want to share with you some of that knowledge. Firstly, this bike that I'm using is a Bike Friday. It's a folding bike, which has advantages and disadvantages. It's a bit of an experiment. I used to tour on a mountain bike, but I think I like this one. A Bike Friday is probably the only one you can think about, the only folding bike that you could consider cycle touring. It's got 27 gears, and it can carry panniers front and rear. Yeah, it doesn't fold quite as neatly as some folding bikes, but it still folds. You can throw it in a bag and throw it on the plane or in a bus, or I caught a ferry not so long ago that wouldn't allow bicycles, but they let me on because it folds up. So I'll just run through quickly my equipment. Sunglasses, essential. Hat, essential, especially in countries like Fiji where you don't have to wear a helmet. It's awesome. But that's like a tent, you know, it keeps the sun off, keeps the rain off. Just invaluable. If I lose that, I'll kill myself. Rag, you've got to have a rag. Just everything, drying your hands and cleaning your sunnies and whatever. So there's essentially 6 bags. Two on each side at the front and the rear, a backpack on top at the back, and a completely waterproof Ortlieb handlebar bag. And so in there I keep all my essentials that are valuable, like cash, wallet, camera, passport, anything that I really don't want getting wet, phone and things. And also if I leave the bike, if I want to go to inside a shop or something, I can lock my bike to a tree and I just unhook that, and that's all I have to worry about. I mean, I don't want anyone stealing this stuff either, but it's really not so important, but this stuff is. So that's good to know. And also being waterproof, don't have to worry about it. I don't like waterproof panniers. These you see are just cloth. I have tried waterproof panniers, and people I've spoken to, I've heard nothing but good reports, but personally I didn't like them. For a couple of reasons. They're heavy when they're empty. It's easy to put a hole in them when you just scrape up against the bush or something. Personally I prefer them to be able to breathe. Often, for example, right now I've got fruit and veg in there. I've got damp clothes. I don't want them inside a airtight, watertight bag. So they're in there now, but they can breathe. They're not going to go mouldy and smelling. But if I've got things in there that I want kept dry, then I've got dry bags, just lightweight dry bags, and I keep them inside. So, and if those dry bags get a hole in it, you can just replace them. They don't cost wear. There's a towel that was still wet this morning, so I didn't put that away. But left that on top. This is good to have as a backpack. That's actually also my hand luggage that goes on carry-on on the plane. But it's also good it's a good backpack if you want to do hikes, like multi-day hikes. But that carries my tent, my sleeping bag liner, and also my wet weather gear. That's probably the stuff you need readily accessible. So that's all in here. In the top of this is that's like cutlery and things, which needs to be pretty accessible too. and this is just a good spot for a windbreaker that goes around my little camp stove, which if we've got time I'll show you in a minute. So inside here, oh yeah, there's also a ground sheet, so that's useful, go under the tent or just for sitting on. It's lightweight, it's waterproof. That's my wet weather gear, raincoat and waterproof pants, and they're in a dry bag because I still don't want them getting wet. That's my tent, also in a dry bag. I don't want that getting wet, even from the rain. It's no good if it's dry when I put it away, but wet when I pull it out. Sleeping bag and sleeping bag liner, also in a dry bag. I don't normally carry snorkel gear, but at the moment I do. So that's that. Then we've got rear panniers. So this bike's got 3 drink bottle holders. Yeah, probably as much water as you can carry, depending where you are. Also this bike, if you have a look down here, inside that front hub, that's a Son Deluxe generator. They're pretty popular in Europe just for powering headlights and things. But if you follow this little wire up, comes to a regulator here and then continues up. And I've actually got that in this little pouch. I'm charging a battery. It's got a little USB connection. That's just a battery. So that's charging while I'm riding. That generator is frictionless. It's just magnets. Not a lot of resistance, and it's very efficient. And then at night I just plug my any USB devices into that and charge from that. I could probably charge the devices directly, but I choose not to because I think it's safer just charging a battery, especially when you're changing speed all the time. I'll just show you up the top here, this little system on the handlebars. So this little pouch is a good idea. It's just a waterproof pouch, and you can put your phone inside it. I knew where my phone was. That's my map. I use Google Maps, so it's just in my phone. There's Google Maps, and that's how I navigate. So there we are. That's where I am actually, Fiji, tip of Taveuni, the island of Taveuni, Fiji. And that just clips on there, so keeps it dustproof and water, or rainproof at least. So that's how that works. What else we got? So in this pannier here, so everything's pretty much designed or located in a way that I don't have, like depending on what needs to be accessible and what doesn't. That's just a little plastic ground sheet to sit on, so the other one might be under the tent as a footprint, and that I can just sit on to cook a meal. That's a face mask. That's tools, so that's not too accessible, but in this little pouch at the front I have the Allen key tool, which is probably the most common one you need. And then, yeah, I mean that is accessible if I need it, just not overly accessible. Snorkel. That's all my clothes. So that's a dry bag. That's made by Audley. I think I can vouch. Audley are a good quality product. That's actually got a little valve on it. You can squash the air out and do it up really small. Stays like a little vacuum pack. That's my stove, my little camp stove, which it's a bit of a modification from a trangia. Trangia to me is too big and too heavy, too cumbersome. This is just 3 little pieces of aluminium, very lightweight pot, dirty rag to absorb the metho, and this is the trangia, the burner from a trangia stove. So it just uses methylated spirits, ethanol, alcohol, and that's the stove. And if it's windy, I've got the little shield to put around it. So quick, easy, lightweight, and quiet, not like some of those shellite stoves and things, really noisy. What else have we got? There's fuel for the stove, running low. Not so easy to get in Fiji. See how these clip on? It's a pretty popular system. I can't talk highly enough of Deuter panniers. I've had these for about 10 years and they've been absolute to hell and back, and they're still in pretty good condition. Yeah, thrown on planes and boats. That's just bathroom things. That's a sleeping mat, also in a waterproof bag, a thermarest, self-inflating sleeping mat. That's like a bag of miscellaneous things, odds and ends. You know, I've got things like little sewing kit, you know, first aid. I've actually got a little solar panel, spare batteries, I don't know, just odds and ends, miscellaneous. It's quite a big miscellaneous, but anyway. Tennis balls to give away when you get to a village. The kids appreciate that, also do the adults. So the front I tend to keep food, the two front panniers tend to be food. One of the bags, well, there's some fresh fruit I just bought, but I've got one big dry bag here, so that's for food that needs to stay dry. Obviously fruit and veg doesn't need to stay dry. In fact, it's better if it's breathing. And then, yeah, nothing too exciting in here. That's a good breathable bag. For example, I got bananas in there. It holds them together, stops them getting squashed because it's at the top of the bag, but it's breathable. They're not going to sweat in there. There's a pawpaw. There's books and a few other bits of food down the bottom. So that's about it. So I hope that's of some useful information to someone. As I said, I'm sure there are better ways of doing it, and this way certainly wouldn't suit everybody, but it suits me, and maybe it suit you too. Thanks very much.